Hi, I'm Meredith Jacqueline, and I'm on an episode of Small Talk with Lila Hart.
Hello, sweethearts. Welcome to another episode of Small Talk with yours truly. On today's episode, we talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about sex. That's the topic of today. We'll be talking about that. It'll be fun. Instagram. I love Instagram so much. Y'all know that. Be sure to follow me at Love Lila Hart because I want you to love me, okay? So, at Love Lila Hart on all social media platforms. Today's guest is a social media rock star. She's also a Tostino's pizza roll enthusiast. So we'll talk about that, all the cheese on here. And I'm really excited to have her on. She's a funny comedian, and she makes a really funny memes. She's basically a meme queen. Let's give it up for Meredith Jacqueline! Welcome to Small Talk.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Couch. So, at the Meredith, at the underscore Meredith on Instagram. Welcome to Small Talk.
Thanks for having me.
You just got back from a trip.
Yeah, I went to Toronto last weekend for the first time. I had an amazing time. Had a blast. Got really drunk a lot. Met a bunch of cute boys. It was, pretty
I'm
par for the
sure
course.
that you were able to come up with some jokes and memes from that trip.
Oh, absolutely. Well, one of the funniest things was I couldn't tell half the time if guys were trying to fuck me or if they were just Canadian because they're so nice. So I was like, are you hitting on me or just being Canadian? I don't know. It turned out usually they were trying to fuck me though. So.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's kind of what they like to do.
It was pretty fun though.
So, where are you from originally?
I grew up in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, lived there almost my entire life. Moved to LA a little over 2 years ago.
You've only been out here for 2 years?
Yeah, I'm still pretty new.
I feel like you've been out here a lot longer.
I know. I kind of settled in really quickly and have just been thriving pretty well in LA. I think it's a good place for me.
What made you move out here?
Well, I used to work for breweries, and a brewery from the East Coast, they were looking for a salesperson for Los Angeles, for their first one ever. And so I applied for that job, got the job out here with the brewery. So I was working in the beer industry right when I moved here, and then stopped working in beer more than over a year ago. Once all of my kind of social media and a lot of that stuff sort of took off.
So while you were working at the brewery, were you also working really hard on your social media platforms?
Yeah.
Did you always know that eventually that's the direction you wanted to take your career into?
No, it kind of snowballed. It kind of just happened. And so as I realized it was going somewhere, I was kind of well, this is way more awesome and way more fun. Working for myself is way better.
What was the first meme that went kind of viral or big?
This was a long time. I mean, before I even moved to LA, there was a tweet of mine that I posted on Instagram, and I still see it all over the place. And it's a fake Marilyn Monroe quote. And so it says, if you can't handle me at my Coke binge, you don't deserve me at my juice cleanse. And
I totally remember seeing that way before I met you.
Yeah, and so that one, I kept seeing it, posted all over. And that was kind of the first one that I was oh, well, I guess, I could do this if my stuff's getting posted everywhere. Yeah, that was kind of my first big one. And it's still pretty popular.
So what topics do you focus and discuss on in your memes?
It's mostly sexual. A lot of like hoe life. I do an entire little series called Hoe Tips. And they're just like little advice on how to be a better hoe.
Hoe tip. Ladies, stop faking orgasms. Don't be afraid to teach your man how to please you. All faking does is leave you dissatisfied and leaves these men overconfident and unable to please a woman. Stop faking it. You're not doing anybody any favors.
And it's, it's all silly and fun and everything, and I totally exaggerate some things. Like, I make a lot of jokes about fucking people's dads.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not actually out here fucking people's dads.
I
mean, like, if your dad's hot, I might. But, like, but it's really all kind of like a funny roundabout way of sex positivity and sexual empowerment and female empowerment. I think we're kind of in this, like, new sort of female sexual revolution where women are, being more comfortable and open, owning their sexuality and owning their bodies and making no apologies for being just as sexual as men are.
Right.
And so a lot of what I post is really just supportive of that while making people laugh. So,
right.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, people also realize, like, you also do comedy, so a lot of this is very, like, comedic.
Right.
And you are going to say things to, like, make people be, like, shocked, But I remember when we first met, you were talking about how when you made the memes, like, it was all memes, and you would never, like, reveal who you really were. When did you decide to, like, show, like, hey, I'm actually a person, this is me, and I'm who runs the account? It
was funny. My account was always, like, my personal Instagram, so if you scroll back to, like, years ago, it's all just pictures of, like, me and my friends and stuff. And then for a while, once kind of the memes started taking off, I stopped really posting pictures of myself much, and I wasn't as, like, visible except for in my hoe tips. And then I started to realize that people really respond well when they can make more of a personal connection.
Right.
And so then I started kind of adding more and more about my personal life. Sometimes I'll post things about people I'm dating, or, like, post pictures of my friends and I. And then also, like, really personal things about, like, I struggle with anxiety and depression, like so many people do. And so I'm very, very open about it. And it's really, really made the response so much better.
And you have a lot of really amazing fans who support you 100%. Like, you read through the comments, there's a lot of, like, really positive messages. People are sharing them with their friends. But how do you deal with the negative comments? Because those are bound to happen. Like, they happen to everybody.
When I set my profile to private fairly recently, which has cut down on a lot of that negativity, like, tenfold, because the people who are my followers, they don't have any reason to be negative toward me. But, I get, just the other day, I posted a sexy picture, and I had some girl comment, "You're fat." And it was just kind of like, okay, like, so unnecessary. And I go one of two ways when people are mean. Sometimes I just block them and, like, ignore it, and I'm kind of like, whatever. But every once in a while, if I'm, like, feeling a little petty, I'll screenshot it and then put it on my story and tag the person who wrote it, just to kind of be like, well, you wanted some attention so bad, here you go. Here's your attention. Which maybe is, like, not the most mature thing to do, but whatever.
Do you think that the negative comments come from more men or more from women?
More women.
Really?
Which is
more
so
women.
disheartening. It's so disheartening that more of the negative comments are from women. Because it's like, come on, we're all in this together. We have enough men looking at us as second rate, and, men treating us that way already. We should be supporting each other. And I think with the women, I think it comes from a place of insecurity. I'm not going to say anybody's jealous of me or whatever, but I think it really comes from a place of insecurity. Because there's just no reason.
Like, why would you care so much to go out of your way and comment on my pictures and judge me and say these things you want to say? You know what I mean? Like, just don't follow me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And
like, talk shit about me behind my back like a normal person.
Do you almost feel like you it's like for me, like, okay, like the word midget would really used to like hurt me,
Mhm.
right? And so I say it in my comedy, I call myself like the baddest midget bitch or
Right.
whatever, right? Where it's almost like I feel like some of your memes I can relate to because it's like, you know, when you're in high school or college and people call you a slut, it's like, oh my god, it's so horrible, it's the worst thing, and that's the last thing you want to be when it's like, yo, everybody's fucking doing this kind of shit, you know? So it's like, it's almost like you making these memes or being like,
yeah, just kind of owning it. Yeah, and so, you know, someone Snapchatted me like yesterday and he said, you're a whore. And I responded, I said, actually, I'm just a slut. Whores get paid to have sex and I just do it for fun. So it's like, instead of like taking those things and being so like, oh, I'm so hurt and offended, I can just laugh it off and like take back like the words. Like if someone calls me a hoe, like, okay, yeah, I call myself a hoe all the time. It's taking the power back. Words really only have however much power you assign to them. And so when it comes to offensive language, if you are not giving words that power, then they don't mean anything anymore. So it's very like, you can change it.
Right.
So
no, I absolutely agree. I think that it's also with words, it's the emotion that's behind the word when you say it.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
And your intention behind the word when you're using it against somebody or towards someone.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, moving on to a more exciting sentence. How important is sex to you in a relationship?
Extremely. You can have a wonderful, like, loving relationship and enjoy somebody's company a lot, but if the sexual chemistry isn't there, that's a friendship. Like, in my ideal relationship, I want to be, like, every time I see a man, I want to jump his bones. And I want to be having sex regularly because to me, like, that's important. That's, you know, a really big part of how you express your love for another person. And I'm a highly sexual person. Now, if two people in a relationship, neither person is highly sexual and it's not as important to them, that's fine. Not, you know, it's not the same for everyone. But for me, you know, my man doesn't want to have sex with me all the time. I'm over it because I'm going to find it somewhere else, you know?
Agreed.
So, I mean, like, I'm not saying, like, I would cheat on anybody because I've never cheated on anyone, but I would break up with them or
be
it
like,
would be
yo,
a temptation.
the dick ain't working.
It would be a temptation for sure. So, yeah, pretty important.
How has your Instagram affected your dating life?
Actually, like the last few people I've dated, I've met through Instagram.
Really?
Yeah, I'm dating. I have kind of a new, like, dating a guy right now that I met through Instagram. He's great. So it's been awesome, but then also I have experienced a couple of times guys becoming intimidated or like jealous.
Oh my gosh.
Which I'm kind of like, if it's the kind of guy that's going to get jealous about all the thirsty comments on my like Instagram post, then it's not the kind of guy that can handle even dating me anyway.
Yeah.
So
it's almost like having yourself be so vulnerable and honest on your Instagram and be 100% comfortable with it. It's like you're weeding out a bunch of dudes already.
Yeah, and it's honestly like preventing me from wasting my time.
Right? And it's like, you don't even need Tinder or any of that. You got your Instagram account.
Yeah,
hello.
like truly. I do have, I have Bumble and Hinge, but couldn't tell you the last time I met anybody off Bumble. Hinge is like a little better, but again, haven't like actively been looking at it, especially since I kind of like started dating this guy. There's no need because I've got like no shortage of men in my DMs. So,
what is your demographic like?
For followers or like guys I date?
Both.
Followers, actually, on Instagram, it's about 65% women, 35% male.
Wow.
And then a large amount of my male following are gay men, which all of like the gay guy meme accounts are like my favorite ones. They're so funny, like ridiculously hilarious. And probably ages. My biggest age range is like 22 to 35, somewhere in there. LA is obviously one of my biggest cities for followers.
Yeah.
New York, Toronto, and Austin and London are also my like big cities.
So what kind of guys do you like to date?
You know, I say that I don't have a type per se, but I guess I kind of do. I don't know. Usually I'm not super into pretty boys, except for unless he's just like ridiculously gorgeous and I can't like not. But mostly like physically anyways, usually white dudes. I like a man to like look like a man though, like have a hairy chest and like be like have some facial hair and stuff. I'm not really into like the clean shaven thing at all.
That's like a lumbersexual man.
Yeah, yeah. I want to like be like a man. Just like really masculine. That's kind of my deal. Has to like make me laugh. Usually around like I don't really usually date guys under the age 30. Just from a maturity standpoint. I'm in my 30s and it's I do like a man with tattoos, although the guy I'm dating doesn't have any. But I need a guy that's like got his shit together.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really ambitious.
And a big dick.
Well, yeah, obviously. Like I'm really ambitious and I work really hard and I do a lot for myself. And so I need a man who's ambitious at the time and who's drive and shit. And like I am to the point in life where I don't really know that I have like the time or patience.
Yes, Arthur.
Like I don't really know that I have like the time or patience to wait for somebody to like catch up. You know, I've already got my shit together, so I need someone else to have his together as well.
You should be on the next Bachelor.
Also has to be really good at eating pussy. So, that's, I mean.
Oh, that's a must. You better eat this shrimp fried rice.
I mean, like, if you don't eat pussy, I don't know what to talk to you.
Exactly. No, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
So you have a blog and you're working on a book. Can you just give the viewers, our sweethearts, a little, let them know what you're doing? So this book that I'm working on my book proposal right now, it's going to be kind of like a fun, tongue-in-cheek sex and dating manual. It'll be like a funny guide to the modern world of sex and dating, you know, including dating apps and modern types of relationships, but all just like kind of with my own like sense of humor and from a really sex positive standpoint, kind of dispelling a lot of rumors and anti-slut shaming and stuff like that. And then my blog, which I'm actually having my website rebuilt right now, so I haven't posted in a while, but it's usually my sex dating escapades that I write about. Your sex escapades. And once I have that relaunched, I will announce that on my Instagram. I think what else I've got going on. Still working on some stand-up. I'll be performing again in September. And like everything, all the projects, everything that I do, everything that I work on, I will announce on my Instagram. Okay, perfect. As they come along, so. And they can follow you at _Meredith. And do you have any hoe tips today? Well, I actually listened to my own hoe tip, which was put sunglasses in your purse the night before you go out, just in case you don't wind up home and you've got them for the morning. So, yeah. I do wear my sunglasses at night. I wear them at night. Yeah. And I talk about that on stage. But I like the dick situation you were talking about. That was fun. Yeah. So wear sunglasses at night. They're also great if you get like the reflective lenses so that you can scope guys out without them knowing you're staring at them. Oh. So that's always crucial. Or you could carry a mirror in your back pocket so you can see. Yeah. I used to do that in middle school. That's bizarre. Well, thank you so much for being on Small Talk today. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was fun. It was so good to see you. I know, you too. Bye. Bye.